we have to intro this a little bit by talking about some of the other movies you've done besides the final season. A movie that some people may have heard of, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Lord of the what?
I don't know. Lord of the Rings, I think. But
Lord of the Rings. I know. I've heard of that one.
fairly successful. In fact, my father-in-law has called my son since birth Hobbit, so he's a big fan as well. And that's no joke. So, but you've also
hopefully he grows up to be like an elf and not a dwarf.
Well, he's growing up pretty good so far. So he's 3 years old now. So I think we're good. But
there you go. I have a 5 and a 2. Well, the 2's about to be 3. So I don't know if he likes younger women or older women. But.
The first thing my wife, of course, mentioned was Goonies. Of course, I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Oh yeah, I get that one a lot.
and a lot of people around here, when I said, "Hey, I'm going to interview Sean Astin," "Hey, you're Rudy," and of course, I'm sure you hear that a lot as well.
Not so much in the Midwest. Just kidding.
A little movie we like to call Rudy, but you've been in some great movies. Some movies that people may not think of right off the bat. 50 First Dates.
Oh, yes, a classic.
I loved your shirt in that movie, by the way. So
cool, man. A little. We've been using it to catch fish with, but.
Well, and lots of different movies, of course. And of course, the movie we want to talk about is the final season. And what, I guess, first interested you in doing this movie when you saw the script?
It was probably before I even saw the script. Just knowing what the story was. Just knowing. I mean, it's just such an unbelievable. It's a story that, and this is the reason it got made, because Tony Wilson was sitting in, I want to say Cedar Rapids when he read it. Might have been Des Moines. Ooh, I'm embarrassed. Tony, pretend I'm not saying the wrong thing if you're listening. Anyway, he read the story in the newspaper after the final game in '91, and he thought, man, that's a movie. If there's anything, and it is. I mean, to have such an unbelievable baseball record, but above and beyond the baseball record, it's. I tell people that if you put the movie in a time capsule, that in 100 years, if you open the time capsule up, you'll be able to see this is exactly what people in the Midwest were like, and more than what they were like, it's how they saw themselves, how we see ourselves. I married a girl from Indiana, so I consider myself an honorary Midwesterner, but that's it. I mean, it's the two kind of themes that were the most important to me. One was this idea of excellence. Just, I played Rudy, and Rudy's determination and grit and accomplishment was so massive, but it was massive on his scale for him. Mm-hmm. This is a team that is committed to a certain kind of excellence. When you show up and you bring your A game and you have to work with other people, that takes mental focus, it takes endurance, physical stamina. It takes a lot to be able to do all that, and I thought that was worth showing. And then the other thing is this idea that, as population increases and, the quality of automobiles and the quality of our roads can increase. Maybe our roads don't always increase the way they should, but we can move faster and farther in less period of time. So, it used to be you'd go to a school in your local community, and, however much time it took you to get there, it was in your community. Now, it's a lot easier for people, for school buses and for parents and whatever, to kind of take you to your school, that's 25 miles away. That's a few, it's a few extra minutes or whatever. Maybe not that far, but you get my point. That it's easier to get farther away, and so what you end up losing is a little bit of the culture that comes along with people who live in a distinct kind of community that's farther away from other people than bigger cities, and so there's this interesting kind of political theme in the movie about it stinks because the school, this unbelievable school with less than 100 students that's won 19 out of 23 state championships, which is just a statistical anomaly. I kind of defy anybody to show me anything like that in any county in any other state, but maybe it's possible, but I certainly haven't heard of any. And close the school down for a kind of administrative reason, that it'd be easier to focus the money that would go into maintaining that school into some other into a larger school, so that you kind of consolidate your resources, and so that it may make kind of bureaucratic sense or administrative sense, but what you miss is the kind of the human quality, that the name of that school, Norway High, the field that they played on and practiced on and played on, that won all those championships, and just that sense of community. I mean, the whole it's a tiny little town. There's like a stoplight or two, and a gas station and a mill, and cornfields. It's basically like a little place that's somewhere in the cornfields. And when the school goes away, the town literally it's virtually, and I don't want to say it's non-existent. There's still a few hundred people who live there, but that's sad. And so we wanted to make a movie that kind of told that story, that showed that dichotomy of excellence, a tradition of excellence, of winning, and of kind of a passing piece of American life and American culture.
Well, I know I've had a lot of interest in this movie locally, and one thing that kind of resonates here is until a few years ago, I know Norway always played their state championships in Marshalltown, and the other two classes were here in Carroll, where I'm at, and up until just 2 or 3 years ago, it was moved to Des Moines. All of them were moved to Des Moines and to where the Iowa Cubs play, and which is neat for the kids, but on the other hand, you think about how much revenue that brings into those towns like Carroll and Marshalltown that's now taken away and put to the bigger city, I guess. So really kind of the same type of thing has happened here, and it's really
not just
kind of
revenue. So grandparents don't want to make the trip.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You got cousins and friends that are with you that really like you, that would, they'd make that half-hour drive to go see you, but a few-hour drive, it's like, I don't know if they're going to do that. So that's exactly right. You know what I was thinking when you were talking about the local support? I've actually felt that. I've been traveling around the country, and I've talked to so many people from Iowa, and it's almost become like an Iowa, like, oh, you're from Iowa, you have to have seen this movie. And just even if you don't like it, you have to have seen it because it's from Iowa, and you have to be prepared to defend the state
Sure.
about this movie. But I just thought, this little movie was made with mostly Iowa money. And it's sort of looked at as a Hollywood movie, but it's only kind of a Hollywood movie. It's actually a movie that wouldn't be made if it wasn't. I mean, above and beyond the story and the rights to the story and the producer coming from Iowa. If Iowans weren't really into supporting financially and otherwise this movie, it wouldn't have gotten made.